As memorials to American wars go, this one goes right back to the first one, the Revolutionary War. And it is certainly among the most handsome and the most intricate history lessons ever built. A newly launched replica of the French frigate Hermione is now in mid-Atlantic, plowing her way westward toward the U.S. East Coast. She's retracing the voyage in 1780 of the original Hermione, whose mission was so crucial she may have been one of the most important warships in U.S. naval history and the most forgotten. The original was built for speed, and so, according to her crew, is the copy.
You know, Lafayette said she sails like a bird, right? And it's true.
Lafayette is the point of the story. The French aristocrat and great friend of George Washington's, the Marquis de Lafayette, was returning to the Revolutionary battle aboard Hermione on that 1780 voyage, and he was bringing good news. That French troops and more fighting ships were also coming to America to support the cause. They would prove decisive. French ground troops played a major role in the final defeat of the British at Yorktown, Virginia in 1781, and that victory would not have happened if French warships hadn't beaten off a British fleet in the Battle of the Virginia Capes. A lot of that has been forgotten as water has passed under the keel of history. The new Hermione was built to refresh people's memories. And stepping aboard is like stepping back 250 years.
Pretty fab.
Mark Jensen, a 57-year-old medical publisher from New York, and one of several Americans on the mostly French crew, thinks it's pretty fabulous too. What was it about the idea of this ship that you found so attractive?
As an American, I knew about Lafayette, but I knew nothing about how he got to the States, at what age he was. And I found that part of the human part of the story really fascinating.
What started as a love of history has become a love of this recreation of it.
I think on some levels we forget, we look at it as an old ship and we think of her as very slow and plottish. And in fact, at the time, she was a race car. She was a Formula One at the time, and it impressed the other sailors to no end.
And she's still impressing sailors, including her captain, Jan Carriou. He expected to be handed a lumbering antique, or the reproduction of one, but he found something else. As a man of the 21st century and a man of the sea of the 21st century, are you impressed with what 18th century sail and 18th century marine technology accomplished?
I was very impressed because when we sailed the first time, we discovered immediately how the ship was fast and seaworthy ship, and we said, how?
How has become the operative word on Hermione. How to sail her. A lot of the skills of managing a square rigger had to be relearned. And how to build her. Almost all the skills that builders had in the days of great wooden sailing ships had disappeared. And the whole industry that supported shipbuilding had vanished centuries ago. Materials had to be sourced. A new generation of shipwrights had to relearn long-lost skills. Luckily, they had time. It took 17 years to build the new Hermione, as funds had to be raised, mostly from private contributions and by selling tickets to the historic shipyard where the construction slowly took place. In the end, she cost about $30 million, and nobody's regretted a penny. Least of all, Bruno Grevalier, who was one of the people who had the idea after a few too many glasses of wine one night. It's almost more difficult to build, or it is more difficult to build a ship like this now than it would have been 250 years ago.
Sure, it is, but, and this is one of the reasons why it lasted so long. The other one is getting the money to do it.
There is a delicious irony in this story. The reason the Hermione could be rebuilt so accurately is because a sister ship, the Concorde, was captured by the British in 1783.
So if I move this, we can then...
And the British were so impressed they brought the Concorde to England, where the Royal Navy made line drawings of her to find out what made her so good. Those drawings are now in the British National Maritime Museum,
The main mast with the...
where Jeremy Mitchell is their custodian. There was a fundamental British, at least curiosity, if not admiration, for the kind of ships the French were building in that era.
That's right, yes, yes.
And why?
They
Why?
had a reputation for being faster, for being a more nimble ship. And it was always kudos for a French ship to be captured and then given to a British officer because of that reputation.
These drawings became this ship, and the Hermione is set on a course to impress America again. Adam Hodge LeClaire is a 22-year-old history student from Lincoln, Massachusetts.
When the ship arrived in Boston, there's a newspaper article in one of the Massachusetts papers of the period that describes its arrival, and it's talking about this incredibly new, modern French frigate that's been copper-bottomed and carries Lafayette, this rock star.
This was state-of-the-art. The original was state-of-the-art when it was
I mean, you're
built.
looking at the equivalent of a modern destroyer, for instance, top of the line.
The original Hermione was nicknamed Freedom's Frigate. She was wrecked in a storm in 1793. But now Hermione and her story live again.